If you grew up with the smell of dry hay, the bite of a cold morning start, and a red Farmall rolling past the barn lane, this video is for you. Today, we're counting down the 10 greatest Farmall tractors ever built. These aren't just strong and reliable machines. Each one marks a chapter of Midwest farming. And when we reach number 1, you'll see why many still call it the peak of the horsepower era. Number 10, the Farmall 300 and the Farmall 350. For a lot of Midwest farms, the mid-1950s felt different. The war years were behind you, but the work in front of you was bigger. Acres were growing, seasons moved faster, and a tractor had to do more than one job and do it well. That's where the Farmall 300 and 350 earned their name. These were true row crop, do-it-all machines. In the morning, they could pull a plow or a disc. By midday, they were cultivating clean rows. Later on, they might be on a wagon or running chores around the yard, and they'd keep going without a fuss, hour after hour, the way a family farm needed. They also fit the times. Practical, straightforward, easy to live with. When something needed attention, you could usually get to it without drama. It was the kind of tractor that answered with that steady Farmall sound and then settled into a working rhythm. What made them special was balance. They had enough power for heavy, everyday work, but they still felt nimble in the rows. They weren't too small to be taken seriously, and they weren't so big that they became a burden. A lot of owners remember them as just right, the kind of tractor you could trust with almost any task and still feel in control. And that right-sized feel is exactly why the 300 and 350 still get talked about with respect at shows and coffee shops. Now here's the twist. The next tractor on our countdown goes in the opposite direction. Much smaller, lighter, and simpler, but its impact on farm life was every bit as big. Number 9, the Farmall Cub. On a lot of Midwest farms, the most loved tractor wasn't the biggest one. It was the one that was always close by, the one that started when you needed it, the one that handled the little jobs that never stop. That's the Farmall Cub. The Cub was a true around-the-place partner. It worked in the garden. It moved things in the yard. It helped around the barn. It cleaned up lanes and drives. It pulled small wagons, handled light mowing, and kept the day moving when the big tractor was busy out in the field. It didn't need to be the strongest. It just needed to be ready. And that's why people trusted it. The Cub was easy to drive, easy to see out of, easy to understand. When something needed fixing, it usually wasn't a headache. Most folks could keep one going. With basic tools, a little patience, and the kind of know-how that gets passed down in farm families. For many viewers over 55, the Cub is tied to first memories. The first time your hands wrapped around a steering wheel. The first time you felt an engine vibrate through the seat. The first time an older brother, dad, or grandpa said, "All right, ease it forward, nice and slow." Those moments stick. That's why the Cub isn't just a tractor. It's a living memory of learning, of trust, and of simpler days. And now, from a small machine with a big heart, we move to a Farmall that sparked real debate, yet still became a major turning point in the lineup. Number 8, the Farmall 560. By the late 1950s, Midwest farming was changing fast. Fields were getting bigger, implements were getting heavier, and the question every farmer was asking was simple: can this tractor pull more and do it all day? The Farmall 560 was Farmall's ambitious answer. This machine was built for the horsepower race. It was meant to work harder, pull heavier loads, and keep pace with a new kind of farming, where time mattered more than ever. When you climbed onto a 560, you could feel it. It came from a different moment. It wasn't just an update. It was a step forward. That's why the 560 is such a powerful story tractor. It carries both glory and lessons. Some folks remember it with pride because it represented progress, and because a strong-running 560 could be a real worker. Others remember the talk, the debates, the hard-earned opinions that came with it. On many farms, it became the tractor people discussed, at the feed store, or over coffee. And when a machine sparks that kind of conversation, it means it mattered. In real farm life, The 560 stands for a turning point. This was the era when farmers started demanding more. From every piece of equipment. More pull, more speed, more hours without quitting. The 560 sits right in the middle of that shift, when tractors stopped being good enough and started being judged like true production machines. Love it or criticize it. Most Farmall fans agree on one thing. You can't tell the Farmall story without the 560. It's a chapter you have to read. And now, here's what makes the countdown exciting. The next tractor is less debated. It feels like a more certain answer. An entry into true big iron, built to work heavy and steady, without all the argument. Number 7. The Farmall 806. By the mid-1960s, a lot of Midwest farms were stretching out. More acres, bigger tillage tools, more hay to put up, more ground to cover before the weather turned. And that meant one thing. You needed a tractor that didn't feel just enough. You needed one that felt built for serious work. That's the Farmall 806. The first time you see an 806, you understand what it's for. It has that big iron stance. It sits down solid. It looks like it could lean into a load and never blink. This is the kind of tractor made for heavy pulling, long days, and the tough jobs that decide whether you finish on time or get caught by rain. For Midwest farmers, the 806 became a symbol of the high-power shift. It marked the era when horsepower stopped being a luxury and became a requirement. It helped make larger equipment practical. It made fieldwork feel more controlled, and it gave farmers the confidence to cover bigger ground without that nagging worry of running out of tractor. And let's be honest, an 806 is also a storyteller's dream on video. The sound has weight to it. The shape is strong and clean. When it's working, it looks like a machine that belongs in the heart of a farm operation. That presence alone can hold viewers. It's the kind of tractor people stop walking to watch. The 806 wasn't just about power. It was about the feeling that a farm was moving into a new size and a new pace. It matched the Midwest mindset. Steady, capable, and made to earn its keep. Now, if the 806 is a clear step forward, the next tractor on our list is a name many folks still call a 1970s legend, a machine that turned horsepower into reputation. Number 6. The Farmall 1066. Say 1066 in the Midwest, and you'll often get the same reaction. A slow nod, a small smile, and a story that starts with, "We had one. The neighbor ran one." I can still hear it. The Farmall 1066 is one of those tractors that earned a reputation the old-fashioned way, by working. This was the horsepower era, when power wasn't about bragging. It was about finishing, about pulling heavy tillage, moving fast enough to beat the weather, and staying in the field when the days got long. The 1066 fit that world. It was built to pull hard and keep going. The kind of tractor you put on the tough job because you trusted it to handle it. On many farms, the 1066 wasn't a nice-to-have. It was a key piece of the operation. When the ground was right and the clock was ticking, you needed a machine that could turn fuel into progress. Steady, strong, and predictable. And that's what the 1066 delivered. It had the muscle to make bigger equipment feel manageable. And it carried itself like a tractor that knew exactly what it was made for. The 1066 also holds a special place beyond the field. In the collector world, it's admired because it looks right. Big, clean, and unmistakably Farmall. And in farm families, it's remembered because it represents a time when the work was hard, the equipment was honest, and a good tractor could still feel like a partner. Now here's the turn. Before we climb higher into pure horsepower legends, we need to go back to the era when Farmall was seen as the king of row crop farming, with a name almost everyone recognizes. Number 5. The Farmall Super M. Farmall already had a winner with the M, so when the Super M arrived, it didn't feel like a risky change. It felt like Farmall listened, and then made a good thing better. For the people who used them, the Super M was familiar in the best way. It still had that classic Farmall look. It still sounded like a Farmall when it settled into a steady idle. And it still felt simple and honest behind the wheel. But the work got easier. You had more strength when the load got heavy, more confidence when the soil was tough, and more efficiency when the day was running out of daylight. This is where the Midwest storytelling really comes alive. You hear it all the time at shows and in old shop talk. We had an M, then we moved up to a Super M, and you could feel the difference. Not because it turned the farm into something new overnight, but because it made everyday work smoother. Same jobs, same fields, same seasons, just less struggle. The Super M holds on to everything people love about vintage Farmall tractors. Straightforward design, solid build, and that work-first attitude. It's not flashy. It doesn't need to be. It earned respect by being dependable and by improving on a platform that was already proven. And that's why so many folks look at the Super M as the sweet spot. Classic feel, upgraded capability, and the kind of tractor you could run for years without losing sleep. Now, to really understand why the Super M is respected, we have to talk about the brother it's built upon, the tractor that became a true pulling icon for an entire generation. Number 4, the Farmall M. On many Midwest farms, the Farmall M wasn't just another tractor in the shed. It was the backbone, the one that carried the workload season after season. When the ground was hard, the days were long, and the farm had to keep moving. What made the M special wasn't only its pulling power, it was the way it delivered that power. With a simple, straightforward design, farmers understood it. They could work on it. They could keep it running. With common sense, basic tools, and the kind of practical knowledge that lives in every good farm shop. The M didn't demand fancy solutions. It rewarded steady maintenance and honest use. And that simplicity is a big reason so many of these tractors survived and why you still see them today, restored or still working. The M was built in a way that fit the Midwest mindset. Reliable, no nonsense, and ready to earn its keep. For a lot of viewers over 55, the Farmall M is personal. It's the tractor you learned on, the one you pulled a plow with for the first time, the one you watched your dad or grandpa run while you stood nearby, listening to that steady engine note and trying to remember every move. In some communities, the Farmall M was as common as a red barn and a gravel driveway. When people talk about classic Farmall tractors, the image that pops into their head is often the M. Long hood, proud stance, and that unmistakable red presence in the field. But here's the thing. The next tractor on our countdown might be even more widespread. Some folks say, if you lived in the Midwest in that era, you almost couldn't avoid seeing it, outworking the rows. Number 3, the Farmall H. If the Farmall M is remembered for strength, the Farmall H is remembered as the people's worker. It showed up everywhere across the Midwest because it fit almost every kind of farm, big enough to matter, simple enough to live with, and dependable enough to trust, with the jobs that had to get done no matter what. The Farmall H earned its place through versatility. It was right at home in row crop work, keeping fields clean and straight. It handled daily farm chores without complaint. It could pull, cultivate, haul, and keep the operation moving from morning to evening. And that's why so many people remember it as a machine that never gave up. You told it what needed doing, and it did it, day after day, season after season. When weather was closing in, or when help was short, the H kept its rhythm. It didn't ask for attention. It asked for fuel, a little care, and then it went back to work. Because the Farmall H was so common, it carries a special kind of nostalgia. Almost everyone has a story. Maybe it was the tractor parked by the corn crib. Maybe it was the one that started the quickest in winter. Maybe it was the first tractor you ever drove, moving slow in low gear, learning how to steer straight, listening for the engine to tell you if you were doing it right. Some folks remember the feel of the clutch. Some remember the smell of warm oil. Some remember riding the fender, holding on, and feeling like they were part of the farm. Now, as legendary as the H and M are, before them were the tractors that built the foundation for the entire Farmall idea. And the next one takes us back to that unforgettable moment when farms began moving from horses to machines. Number 2, the Farmall F-20. The Farmall F-20 takes us back to to a turning point the Midwest never forgot. This was the time when more farmers began to believe, deep down, that tractors weren't just a passing idea. They were the future, not because they were flashy, but because they could help a family farm survive and move forward. The F-20 represents a real shift in how work got done. It marks the change from horsepower made of muscle to horsepower made of steel, from the steady pace of horses to a machine that could keep a consistent pull, hour after hour. It was about getting more done in the same day, especially when weather, labor, and money were all tight. And that historical setting matters. These were hard years. In many towns, every purchase had to be justified. Every tool had to earn its place. A dependable tractor wasn't a luxury. It could be a lifeline. The F-20 fit that need with a simple purpose. Be strong, be steady, and be worth the cost. And when a machine like that proved itself, it didn't just help one season. It changed how a farm planned for the next 10 years. The F-20 is powerful because it carries the feeling of opening the road. It belongs to the era when Farmall started forming its identity. Row crop thinking, practical design, and a machine built around real farm routines. Many farmers didn't just buy an F-20. They bought time. They bought consistency. They bought a chance to keep up. That's why the F-20 is remembered with respect. And now, we've reached the moment everyone waits for. Number 1 is the deepest foundation, the tractor that started it all. Without it, there may not be a Farmall story, as we know it today. Number 1, the Farmall Regular. The Farmall Regular is not just a tractor. It's the beginning of an idea. Before Farmall became a name people grew up with, before the red paint became a symbol in the Midwest, the Regular showed up and proved something important. A tractor could be built to do real farm work and still fit the way row crop farming actually happens. This machine helped open a new era. It wasn't only about pulling a load. It was about working a farm in a smarter, more practical way. Working the soil, tending the rows, and handling the daily rhythm of a place that never truly rests. For many Midwest families, the Regular belongs to that moment, when mechanization started to move from maybe someday to this is happening now. And that's why it carries weight for an older audience. The Farmall Regular feels like living history. It brings to mind the generation that took the first leap, early farm families who trusted steel and gears in a world that had always depended on horses. They didn't buy the Regular for comfort. They bought it because it could change what one family could do in a season. The Regular deserves the number 1 spot, not because it was the strongest. It set the direction for what Farmall would become. It helped shape the row crop tractor story, the story that carried through the H, the M, and all the way into the horsepower legends decades later. When you look at a Farmall Regular, you're not just looking at an old machine. You're looking at the start of a whole chapter of Midwest farming, one that still echoes today and shows stories and fields. And here's the best part. A list like this always leaves room for debate. And that's where the real stories come out. With Farmall, each tractor is more than steel and horsepower. It's the sound of an engine on a cold morning. It's the rush of a short weather window when every hour counts. And it's those quiet days learning beside your dad or grandpa, watching how real farming is done. Today's list is my pick for the 10 greatest Farmall tractors ever built. But I know this much. Every Midwest farm has its own memories and its own favorites. So let me ask you, which one would you move up or down? And which Farmall is number 1 in your book? Leave your choice in the comments and tell us the story behind it. Because in the end, the best part of Farmall isn't just the machines. It's the people and the work they helped carry.